Is the Dyson V15S Submarine going to be as good as advertised? So I think I found the secret why the V15S Submarine does not work on any other Dyson, even though it should work with every other Dyson. And if this, according to Dyson, is as good as all of these, because these are the leading wet-dry vacuums out there, including the Bissell Crosswave. This is the Pet Pro edition. We also have a Tineco S5 and an S7 Pro. Probably some of the best, most feature-rich, advanced wet-dry vacuums out there. Because color me skeptical, but I don't think this is going to be as good as that. So in order to figure this out, we took our Dyson V15S Submarine and compared it to our Dyson Gen5 Detect, because these units are most similar in terms of when they came out and their overall features. So what did we find? So these are the first Dysons that are really coming with this type of active wand where the hand attachments are going to be built inside. So you just pop this out, you're going to attach your unit, and there is the attachments that you can just remove, and it's going to come right out for you. When you add this into your unit, you notice that it is completely closed here. So all of the wet mop is going to be happening here. It doesn't actually happen in the motor. The motor is just delivering the power. And we already know on the V15S Submarine, they don't allow you to use this attachment piece with any other Dyson. And I don't know why, because this is completely closed off. All it needs is power, and I'm sure there's some type of software upgrade. They can just plug into your Dyson and change it to update it so that it can fully utilize this attachment, and then you could go out and buy this attachment yourself. Well, how much could this attachment cost? Maybe like, let's say they charge us like $100, $150. The problem is Dyson is proposing that you need to go out and buy a brand new V15S Submarine. You can't just use your current V15S. You can't use the Dyson V12 or the V11 or the Dyson V10. You can't use it, even though this only looks like it needs power. So they're using basically the same components as the Gen5 Detect, which were not compatible really with the V12s and the V15s. And then they have changed it just slightly so that all of the attachments won't work with any of the other units, especially their submarine wet-dry mop attachment. Because if you could buy this, why don't you just add it as an add-on? Because we're seeing this also because in other countries like Singapore, there is the Dyson V15 Slim Submarine. And those units have smaller batteries. So to me, it looks like just a software update. These are much better than what you get with the Submarine. You get more versatility, you're gonna be getting better performance, you get more suction power, you get a 2-tank system, and this entire unit is dedicated to the single purpose of mopping your floors. And they're easy to clean because they come with stations where you could place the dirty parts and the areas that need to dry. Because if you're ever adding water to your unit and your brush roll, you need to dry it. Because it's one thing to clean your floors, it's another thing to clean the equipment. And that's much easier on dedicated wet-dry vacuums that can clean themselves. They have self-cleaning modes versus something like the Dyson where you're paying a premium to do it all by yourself. So this can go edge to edge because it has no front cover. It also has very small sides, so it's gonna get close to the edges. It's not gonna be directly on the edge. It's easy to open this and clean it. Pop this out, and it will come out. And here is the head. This is the internals. This is what's gonna turn the brush. Here is the tank, and it'll be fed back inside of the dirty water tank. So we're gonna run some tests with our Dyson Submarine, including our famous Oatmeal test, because that is something that most good wet-dry vacuums can tackle, but not so good ones have a hard time with. So we'll see how this handles it. We'll also see what it does with the mess, because where is it putting all of that grime or dirt or food? So first up, let's get our submarine ready to go. So that means I'm gonna have to fill the tank. That's 6 ounces right there. That's really not a lot of water. So that's 6 ounces of water. So this is something you guys will have to know. If I do not press the trigger here, so if I let go of the trigger, the brush is no longer turning. We do this test so that we don't have to do so many different tests, because if your submarine can handle this, then it's going to be one of the best wet-dry vacuums out there. Before you guys jump out at me and say, well, you could always just pick up that oatmeal before you place it on the floor, Well, let me just share a little story. A lot of these wet-dry mops are built around the concept of picking up messes. They're not built around just mopping your floors like a Swiffer does. So I'm trying to see which one actually is going to be a solid replacement option for a real mop. So here we have just about a quarter cup. We won't add a lot because the tank is not very big here. So we're going to see, is the Dyson powerful enough to be able to handle a mess this size, which should put it directly at the capacity or the full capacity of the submarine attachment. All right, so now you see we have our mess on the floor. Let's see how well this picks up the mess. Go right in the middle. That's about how well it did on this test here. It's able to pick up a lot of the liquid, but it cannot handle anything solid. So if we just have a closer look at what's happening inside of our tank, and that will show us exactly what happens. So when you are using it on big solid pieces like that, guess what? It doesn't go inside of the tank. It's going to stop. It's not going to go directly inside of the waste bin, and then it's going to stop your brush roll from turning, which means your Dyson Submarine is not powerful enough to overcome that, and it's going to stop turning. And you basically have to clean it out to use it again. So I'm going to clean it out, and then we're going to see one more time how does it perform on this oatmeal test. So we're just going to focus on the wet areas. Remember, do not put anything wet as a vacuum for your Dyson. The regular V15 vacuum mode is not meant to be used with anything wet. All right, so overall, as you can see, the Dyson did not a spectacular job because of the larger particles. The Dyson is probably going to be better for wet messes in terms of just liquid. And if the submarine unit supposedly has such more advanced software that it can't work with a regular V15, how come when I have the submarine on, it can only show me this percentage? It doesn't share with me any other information. So what is the motor doing except for delivering power directly to the floor attachment? I don't know. Dyson, you're going to have to let us know. Okay, so now we are going to be using some juice. So you have spilled some juice, or your kids have spilled some juice. Our juice is a little pink, so you can see it. We're going to spill about a half cup. That is going to be about 6 ounces. But I think our tank is full now because it's starting to leak a little liquid. And that's another thing, guys. Because the tank is small, if you fill up that tank and it's full, well, it's going to start leaking a little liquid as you start moving around. And let me show you what I mean by looking at the tank now. After 6 ounces of water that we had placed on the floor, actually 6 ounces of juice. So I want to see how much waste we have collected. And that's the water it picked up. This is the Tineco S7 Pro. Just in contrast with your Dyson, look at how easy it picks up everything. One single pass, it picked up it all. Second pass, it's going to pick up everything again. And while it's doing that, it's actually mopping your floors, and it's easy to empty everything and clean out everything and dry everything because it has a self-cleaning mode that you can adjust. It can go 3 minutes or 6 minutes in terms of how messy or sticky of a mess you did, and that large display is going to give you all the information you need to understand what is going on with your Tineco. For the Crosswave, I just want to show you guys it's also a vacuum, so we're just going to drop some oatmeal on the floor. We're going to put it on hard floor. I know that the Bissell Crosswave Pet Pro is corded and the Dyson is cordless, but I just want to also show you that the Bissell Crosswave Pet Pro or even the Bissell Crosswave are pretty okay vacuums for hard floors or hard wood floors. We're going to add in our oatmeal. How will our Bissell Crosswave do in this test? So let's see. The Crosswave won't sound as nice as the Dyson does, but it's still going to do a very good job picking up all this oatmeal. It doesn't look back. It also is able to mop the floors. And if I just want to use it as a vacuum on hard floors, it is still going to be a usable vacuum for hard floors. So what's the value proposition on the Dyson when I know the Bissell is corded, but at the same time, it works very well? As a cordless vac, the Dyson V15 will beat them all. But as a wet-dry vacuum, it's just out of its league with all of these better wet-dry vacuums out there. After you use your Dyson Submarine, what do you do with all the parts? First, you got to clean it all. And that's its own task because the clean water tank is not large. And that clean water tank, if you want to dry it out, you're going to have to keep it open, pour everything out, and there's no way to fit anything inside. It's not detachable. This dirty water tank, I wish they had like some type of pour spout on the side, so it's just everything comes out one way. Here, you really got to remove this piece and then pour it out and try not to get any of that dirty residue on the other pieces of your Dyson or on yourself. So this brush is so close to the floor that the friction of this brush is what's actually pulling it inside of here. There's no real suction power, so you're not utilizing the 240 air watts that you get in your Dyson V15. So you're not utilizing that. It is really all built inside of this single piece. And the worst part, in my opinion, is the cleanup. Because now I've assembled everything together. It's still kind of wet, but what do I do after? Where do I leave it? Dyson gives you this little pocket thing, and it's like a sleeve, but it's not completely waterproof. So Dyson gives you this little plastic piece, and what you're supposed to do is just keep your Dyson Submarine protected inside of here. However, what if you are using it as a vacuum primarily and you're always wall mounting it? Where do you leave this? And at the same time, after I use it, this is not going to fully dry this way. So what you really need to do is to take it out of here and then open it up, remove this, and let this dry somewhere else. Maybe over here, just somewhere else that it can dry on its own, and if it leaks or drips any water, it's not going to get everywhere or cause a mess on your floors. It has this kind of like self-propulsion because there's no real wheels on the bottom. The brush is constantly turning and it's always in contact with the floor, so it's going to be spinning and pushing forward. Not the same effect when you go back, but definitely the same effect when you go forward. So on the Dyson Submarine, there's only one speed. There's no multiple modes. I just hold down the power and it's gonna be spooling up and turning. So what's our take on the Dyson V15S? It has all the great features of the Dyson V15, which we consider one of the best cordless stick vacuums, depending on what price you get it at. Because if you're getting it at a full price, it's not that great. But if you get the V15 at $500, it's gonna be a pretty solid option. But let's talk about the V15S Submarine. Is this worth $200, $300? Absolutely not. Almost every single wet-dry vacuum we have tested that is $150 to $200 is going to be better and outperform the Submarine. They have larger tanks, they have more suction power, they're going to be easier to clean. Most of them are going to be able to clean themselves, so it is a win in almost every single way. And if you want to pick up things off the floor, there's no suction power here. Everything is getting pulled up like a sweeper by this brush roll. And because of that, it's hard for me to really recommend it because it's not really extracting the water, it's brushing the water out. The Submarine V15S is probably one of the best looking Dysons, if not the best looking Dyson I have ever seen. It comes in gold and it looks good, but it's not made out of gold. So I wouldn't pay gold prices for it. So with that, thanks for watching everybody. This is my Dyson V15S Submarine review, and I'll catch you next time. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, and please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support our channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye, bye, bye.